So I already mentioned you to log in with your hall ticket number as the first name, and all of you do the same, not with your name as the first name, so that considering the attendance will become easy. Right. Thank you. So now let us, I think we have almost completed the unit 1. Let us have a revision of the syllabus and we'll go ahead. Now I will share the syllabus for your reference here before we proceed to the next topic. So do you all have a copy of syllabus copy with you? If not, please maintain one copy of a syllabus with you. So here comes the syllabus, GPS. Unit 1 is everything about the introduction details. So basic concept and system architecture we have seen. There are 3 types of constellations we have seen under the GNSS satellite overview. That is GPS, GLONASS and Galileo. The third one also we have seen, even though it is not mentioned in syllabus. Then we have learned about the satellite navigation process, time and GPS, user position and velocity calculations. This topic is not covered. GPS, satellite constellations we have seen. 3 segments that are user segment, operation segment and space segment. These 3 we have completed. And finally, we have seen the Indian-made GPS, that is Gagan. Also we have seen, that is geo-augmented navigation architecture. Yeah, the entire textbook I have already shared with you. I have emailed you. Please check your mails. The group emails you have given to me, and to the 3 group emails I have forwarded the textbooks, textbook 1 and textbook 2. Almost textbook 1 consists of all the entire syllabus, and for few topics, very few topics, you have to refer to the textbook 2. In that chapters 1 and 2 are unit 1 of our syllabus, and chapter 3 is our unit 2 for your information. Please check your emails. I have forwarded to the 3 class group mails that you have sent to me. Is that okay? Say yes or no, guys, through chat at least. Who is this messaged? 4H8. Syllabus copy is there. Share the universe PDFs. I have shared the entire textbook, 2 textbooks, textbook and reference book. Right. So with that, unit 1 is almost completed. Except for this, I will do this on the board. No, I have shared another one on Saturday. On Saturday, I have shared the another link. Okay, if not, I will share it again after the class. Today, I'll check out that, what is the technical issue. If not, you message me in the group, not personally. Okay? So we have seen the basics of GPS architecture, various segments of the GPS navigation, what is the satellite navigation, and what are different types of constellations, namely GPS, GLONASS, and Galileo. And finally, Indian-made GPS, that is geo-augmented navigation architecture, that is Gagan also we have seen till now. And with that, unit 1 completes, and unit 2 is some technical insight into the GPS. That is, we said that that is 4 satellites will send the signals to a position which is to be navigated, and those 4 satellites will send some signals, that is radio frequency signals, which are having the frequency, which are having the velocity of that of light or speed of the light. And the distance from each satellite to the user is calculated by noting down the starting time of the signal and reaching, that is receiving time of the signal, that is transmission time and receiving time. We'll know the time of travel. So we use the simple formula of distance is equal to speed into velocity, that is speed into time. So speed into time will give us the distance. So we will do it from 3 satellites, that is called as the trilateration technique. Now here, more important is what type of signals are being sent and what type of modulation is sent and what is the frequency of each of the carrier. What is the frequency of each of the carrier? That is all learnt in the unit 2. That is, the heading is GPS receivers and data errors. So receiver architecture, signal characteristics. Before signal characteristics, what type of signals are sent? So what are the components of signals? What is the purpose and the properties of each of the signal? And what is the power level that is contained by that signal? And we learn the techniques like signal acquisition and tracking, and how to extract the navigation information. That is called navigation information extraction. And as already said, we are using two special pseudo-random noise codes, PRN codes. So how to estimate the pseudo range estimation, then frequency estimation, then finally GPS satellite position calculation, then signal structure, and we have learned anti-spoofing technique. That is, spoofing will be done by the enemy GPS receivers. So for that we have to provide an anti-spoofing technique. Then finally selective availability. And the last topic, one more topic is mentioned here as the differences between the GPS and the Galileo satellite construction. Of course, this we already knew. Say yes or no, we have already learned this in first unit itself. GPS constellation consists of 24 satellites and the Galileo satellite consists of 28 satellites. These differences we have already seen. Anyways, we will revise as per the availability of the time, don't worry. So we go ahead with this GPS signal components. So I will share the today's class presentation. So here we go. I request all of you to keep a notebook and pen, pencil in your hand ready for noting down the important equations or some of the diagrams from this unit. Because it should not be like a theoretical class. You can't listen and memorize the things. Until and unless you practice the things, you draw the things, they will be very well learned. All of you keep notebook and pen ready. Whenever I instruct you to note down an equation or a diagram, you should draw in your notes and I will check at the end. Is that okay? Say yes or no, guys? Hello, I need the response. Your presence in the class. Right. So unit 2 is titled as the GPS signal characteristics. Everything about the signals we will be learning here. Right. So the contents that we are going to learn is GPS signals, GPS signal components, purpose and the properties. Then very, very important is very frequently asked question from the unit 2 is navigation message, structure of the navigation message. So each of the satellite is sending a signal, modulated signal, and that is consisting of the navigation message. What does the navigation message consist of? How to read that by the receiver. How a receiver reads the navigation message that is present in the received signal from each of the satellite. That is very, very important. And the subtopic of that is how to identify a frame and a subframe of the navigation message. Then finally, GPS satellite position calculations and ephemeris data that is transmitted. So these are the topics that we learn, some of the topics that we learn in the unit 2. So we'll go ahead. So in the user perspective, GPS is only a receiver. See, just like our household television, the GPS is nothing but a receiver. it is not transmitting any signal. Now, point to be noted. So GPS is a receive-only passive system for a user. And this number of users that are using the GPS system or the navigation system developed or augmentation system developed will be very huge in number or very large in number. That is unlimited, what we can say. Because nowadays, each and every alternate person is having the mobile phones. So each mobile phone is a GPS receiver. Each mobile phone is a GPS receiver. These are only the civilian applications. Apart from this, there are military applications. Apart from this, there are commercial applications. Apart from this, there are scientific applications to note down the presence of some of the minerals in the underground. That is also using the GPS signals, right? So this is a huge number. And the GPS has to perform many functions. That's why the signal structure is somewhat complex, that of the GPS signal. And it consists of complex sequence of operations that a GPS receiver must carry out in order to extract the desired information from the signal. So as just now I spoke, each GPS signal should consist of more information, and the receiver must be able to extract information from that. So first point to be noted in the GPS signals is it transmits the two L-band frequencies. It transmits the, please make a note of this point. It transmits the two L-band frequencies. Of course, you know the band of frequencies in the satellite communication subject, or somewhere in the micro engineering you would have learned the band of frequencies, K band, KU band, L band, like that. The GPS will use the L band frequencies, that is carrier signals, and one of them is the L1 carrier and other one is the L2 carrier. The L1 carrier has a frequency of 1575.4 megahertz and L2 carrier has a frequency of 1227.60 megahertz. Please note down this in your notebook. Important points. I will share the PDF notes anyways, but these are important points. L1 carrier has a 1575.42 megahertz and the L2 carrier has a 1227.60 megahertz. And the L1 signal consists of in-phase and quadrature phase components. The L1 carrier signal is consisting of two components. One is the in-phase component and another one is the quadrature phase component. And each satellite is transmitting a signal. It is not transmitting just a carrier, it is transmitting a modulated signal. So whenever we encounter a word called modulation, there is necessity of the baseband signal or modulating signal, and there should be a carrier signal. Just now we knew that we are using a carrier signal of L1 and separately L2. And here it is using a data stream. And the modulation technique that is used here is the digital modulation technique. And that digital modulation is nothing but the BPSK scheme, that is called biphase modulation in short, that is binary phase shift gain. And the data stream has a data rate of 50 bits per second. This is all about the in-phase component. Please make a note of this point also. The in-phase component is biphase modulated by 50 bits per second data stream. So what is called modulation? Modulation is the process of changing any of the characteristics of the carrier signal in accordance with the instantaneous values of the modulating signal. So what is the modulating signal? This data stream, 50 bits per second data stream. So this will modulate the in-phase component. And it consists of a pseudo-random code, PRN code we said. And that is called C by A code, which consists of 1023 chip sequence. The chip sequence is 1023 and it has a period of 1 millisecond. It has a period of 1 millisecond and a chipping rate of 1.023 megahertz. And a chipping rate of 1.03 megahertz. So chipping rate means each chip will available. Which chip will available at a rate of 1.023 megahertz. And this is all about the in-phase component. The quadrature phase components it is also BPSK modulated and with the same data stream, that is 50 bits per second, but with a different pseudo-random code that is called as the P code. That is called as the P code. In-phase component is modulated with the C by A code, and quadrature phase component is modulated with the P code. These two are pseudo-random noise codes, PRN codes. And P code has a chipping rate of 10.23 megahertz, whereas the C by A code has a chipping rate of 1.023 megahertz. So this is P code is 10 times that of the in-phase component. This is the comparison. So always whenever you learn two new things, try to have a comparison. In the examination, the examiner may ask the comparison point of view, right? And it has a period of 1 week, whereas the C by A code has a period of 1 millisecond, and the P code has a period of 1 week. Of course, the chipping rate is also high, 10.23 megahertz. And the mathematical model of the L1 waveform, please make a note of this. This is very, very important, this equation. The modulated wave S of t is equals to 2 into Pi of d of t into C of t into cos omega t plus V plus 2 PQ d of t P of t sin omega t plus V. This is equation number 1. Where Pi is the carrier power of the in-phase component and PQ is the carrier power of the quadrature phase component. And d of t is the modulating signal, that is 50 bits per second data modulation signal, and C of t is the C by A code, and P of t is the P code. These two are the pseudo-random noise codes. So d of t, Pi is the in-phase component carrier power, d of t is the data stream, C of t is the C by A code, PQ is the quadrature phase component, P of t is the P code, and D of t is the data stream here. So this is L1. And omega is the angular frequency of the L1 carrier, and V is a phase shift. How much phase shift is there? Is a phase shift in radians. And the practical values of the PQ and PI are PQ is greater than PI. PQ is greater than PI. How much greater? It is 3 decibels greater. Please make a note of the last point also, because in the objective questions this may be asked. PQ is how much greater than PI, or PQ is dash decibels greater than the PI. Are you noting down the things? Shall I move to the next slide? If you say yes, I can move to the next slide. Otherwise, I'll stay on. Hello? Say yes or no. Have you noted down this equation, modulated signal equation? Okay. Next, mathematical model of the L2 signal. L2 signal is also modulated with 50 bits per second data stream and the P code. L1 is with C by A code and P code, and L2 is only with the P code. And the mathematical waveform is this: 2 times of PQ, that is quadrature phase component power, D of t data bit stream, P of t P code, sin omega t plus V. Omega is the angular frequency, V is the phase shift, expected phase shift. These two equations are primary equations, very important. Please note down this in your notebook. After noting down, say yes, I will move to the next slide. Okay. And this is the diagrammatic representation of the modulation technique and succeeding waveforms. Please write neatly. So d of t is the data stream at a rate of 50 bits per second, and L1 carrier square root of 2 pi into cos omega t. These two are modulated here, that is process of multiplication. And this is further modulated by the C by A code, that is with a C of t. And this is the final transmitted signal. And here understand here, one bit period is 20 milliseconds. One bit will stay for a period of 20 milliseconds. So this is the data stream. So you can, you know that positive pulse is 1, negative pulse is 0. So the data stream that is used here is, in this waveform is 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. And this is a hypothetical C by A code. C by A code, epochs, 20 code periods per bit. Epochs means repetition intervals. So C by A code repeats after how much time? C by A code repeats after how much time? As this is a very large signal, this is given with these symbols. So whenever a waveform which we cannot accommodate on a paper, then we will represent them with this. And its period is 1 millisecond, as we knew in the previous slide. So one period is 1 milliseconds of the C by A code, and in that one period, 1023 chips per period will be the chip rate. And L1 carrier has a 1575.42 megahertz with 1540 cycles per chip. Please draw these three waveforms. After drawing these waveforms, say yes, I will move to the next slide. So here you can compare. Carrier is at higher frequency and data is at a lower frequency. Because that's why it is 20 milliseconds, one bit will stay. But here 1 millisecond only. So here you have to understand it like this. So for 1 bit, 20 code periods per bit. So this is the carrier signal, C by A code carrier. For 1 bit of information, it will complete 20 code periods because each bit is existing for 20 milliseconds. And the C by A code has a period of 1 millisecond only. Is that done? If done, say yes. I'll move to the next slide. So here the third diagram, 1 period is equal to 1 milliseconds of the C by A code. And here 1023 chips per period. So that the carrier is maintained at a 1575.42 megahertz. It is more than this. So that is sufficient for that. And here the carrier is sinusoidal. Here the carrier is existing like deltas. They are called epochs. Technically, they are called as the epochs. Is it done, guys? Shall I move to the next slide? Or still drawing the diagram? Please respond. So this is the in-phase component modulation scheme. And second one is the quadrature phase component modulation. That is the signal. The root of P5 sin omega t. This is L1 carrier. This is quadrature phase. And here it is using only P code. It is not using the C by A code. Earlier one, it was using the C by A code and P code. And here this is not using the C by A code. It is using only the P code. That is P of Y code. So first L1 carrier modulation, after that P code modulation. And here the data used is 50 bits per second. Here used is the 50 bits. That means 1 bit is per 20 milliseconds. So here this is the structure of the L1 carrier and this is the structure of the P code. That is P of Y code. And this is 2,04,600 chips. Here the period is very long. That is 1 week it will stay. Whereas the C by A code is only for 1 millisecond. But here it is for 1 week. So approximately it is 6.18 into 10 to the power of 12 chips. Within a period of 1 week, 6.18 to the power of 12 chips will be generated. And for each of the chip, this carrier is used. L1 carrier is used. Please draw the two modulation diagrams neatly. Have you completed drawing this? Hello? Please respond, guys. So these two are the modulation block diagrams and the associated waveforms of the L1 carrier in phase and L1 carrier quadrature phase components. Then after this, the same thing, whatever is there, it is what is the purpose of each of them. There is a specific purpose and some of the properties associated with that, each one of them. The L1 signal from each satellite uses a BPSK scheme. It is modeled by two PRN ports, that is in phase and quadrature phase. And L2 signal from each satellite is BPSK modeled only P code. This difference we already noted down. Now the most important is this. What is the information that is present in the modulated signal? So each data stream, that is 50 bits per second data stream, it conveys navigation message. Please underline this word, navigation message. So what does that navigation message includes? Which information is required by the GPS receiver and how to process that information? So first one is the navigation message is consisting of, first one is satellite almanac data. The first one is please make a note of this word, satellite almanac data. So what do you mean by almanac? That is, at what angle the orbits are present. Each satellite transmits orbital data called as the almanac, which enables the user to calculate the approximate location of every satellite in the GPS constellation at any given time. The almanac data are not accurate enough for determining the position, but can be stored in a receiver where they can remain valid for many months. They are used primarily to determine which satellites are visible at a given location so that the receiver can search for those satellites when it is first turned on. So the almanac is information about the satellites. The almanac is nothing but the information about the satellites. So there are 24 satellites in the constellation, GPS constellation, 24 plus 4 for a quick recovery. If anything fails, remaining 4 will be repeated. That is second information. And among the 24, only we need the information from only 4 satellites, because in our triangulation technique we use only information from the 4 satellites. Now the almanac data is from which satellite the signal is received. From which satellite the signal is received. Because the 24 satellites will have their own identifications. Among those 24 satellites, which satellite signal is received by the GPS receiver? That is contained in the almanac data. That is contained in the almanac data, and that is stored for the future reference. In future, if the same kind of signal is received, then it may assume the receiver that the signal is received from so and so satellite, 5th satellite, or 8th satellite, or 12th satellite. This is the almanac data. So they can be used to determine the approximate expected signal Doppler shift. So this is very, very important. So what is Doppler shift? So here there will be an effect of Doppler effect. There will be a Doppler effect. So what is Doppler effect? As the object is moving away from the source or the object is nearing the source, the signal strength will decrease. The signal strength will decrease and increase respectively. Hence, this has to be calculated, and for that purpose, the receiver will use this almanac data. And second data is the ephemeris data. The second data is the ephemeris data. Ephemeris data are similar to almanac data. So what they enable? They enable a much more accurate determination of the satellite position needed to convert the signal propagation delay into an estimate of the user position. So this we are calculating the delay, but how this delay is proportionate to calculate the user position, that information is present in the ephemeris data. So for a particular satellite, it is broadcast by the satellite and the data are valid only for several hours. This is very, very important. The ephemeris data is valid for only several hours because it may change as the satellites are moving around the earth. But almanac data is fixed. It will stay for longer time. And the third one is signal timing data. It is 50 bits per second data stream that includes time tagging. That includes the time tagging. That is at what time the signal started transmission. and it is used to establish the transmission time of the specific points on the GPS signal. This information is needed to determine the satellite to user propagation delay. It is used for the ranging purpose. So ranging is nothing but finding out the distance. Ranging is nothing but the finding out the distance. To know the distance, we need speed and we need the time. Anyway, speed is already inbuilt in the receiver, that is 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second, which is equal to the speed of the light. A radio frequency signal will travel with the speed of the light, and we know. And more precisely, we have to calculate the time. So signal timing data, at what time the signal has started, and what are the ways that signal has traversed, how much delay has occurred in the ionosphere that is coming in the next point. So the signal timing data is also present in the navigation message. And next, fourth one is the ionospheric delay data. So ranging errors due to ionospheric effects can be partially cancelled by using the estimates of the ionospheric delay that are broadcast in the data stream. So we learn about the data errors in detail in our unit 3, but ionospheric delay data is the signal that we assumed is traveling from the satellite and reaching the receiver, not like a straight line. It is traveling through the ionosphere. So when the ionosphere is consisting of so many dust particles, all those things, and it may traverse, it may refract, and by taking a refracted way, it will come back to the receiver. Because of this, there must be some delay estimation is required while calculating the user position. And this delay estimate is present in the ionospheric delay data. And finally, the fifth one is the satellite health message. Satellite health. This is very funny, it seems to me. See, each satellite is sending a signal and receiver receives that. And this is about the authenticity of the signal received by the satellite. Whether the satellite is healthy or not. See, if a satellite is unhealthy, that is, the power of that may be degraded, or the transmission time may be degraded, it may be recorded wrongly, there may be some delay occurs. This satellite health message is everything about the health of the satellite. If the satellite health is good, then the receiver will accept that data received by the receiver. If the satellite health message is not good, the satellite is not healthy, then the message will be denied, because that information is of waste. Because the satellite itself is not good, then what is the need of considering that message or information? The data stream also contains information regarding the current health of the satellite. This is very, very important. Regarding the current health, the presently how the satellite is present. Earlier it may be worked well. In past, the satellite may be worked well, but how it is working presently. So that the receiver can ignore that satellite if it is not healthy. These are the 5 contents of the navigation message. This is very, very important and very frequently asked in the exam. Please make a note of these 5 at least subheadings: satellite almanac data, ephemeris data, signal timing data, ionospheric delay data, and satellite health message. Please make a note of this. We will study in detail about the structure of the navigation message in our next class, because it's almost 12:25 in my watch. Please make a note of these points at least: satellite almanac data, satellite ephemeris data, signal timing data, ionospheric delay data, and satellite health message. If you say yes, I will proceed to the next slide. This is ephemeris data, second point. Third point is signal timing data. Fourth is anospheric delay data. And fifth is the satellite health message. This is very important. So after that, we will see the signal navigation message structure. What is, how many words are present, how many bits are present, how many frames are present, and how to identify the starting of a frame and subframe. All that we'll learn in our next class. That is very, very important as equal priority to this. What a navigation message is present consists of, we have learned now. Now, how many frames are present in the navigation message? And each frame is divided into how many subframes? And how to identify the starting of a frame? That message, that information we will learn in our previous class. Okay, I am winding up the class for today. Thank you.